Hello, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bower. I'm Ryan Steffen, the Executive Director for Bower Center for the Arts in beautiful Bedford, Virginia. This podcast is all about inspiring conversations, exploring the arts in our community, and shining spotlights on the incredible individuals and organizations that make Bedford art scene so vibrant. I'm excited to welcome our guest today, Anna M. Filiaggi. Anna is now the newest member of the Bower Center team as our new Programs and Community Relations Manager. She's only been with us for about a week and a half, so today I want to talk with her, and so you all and I can get to know a little bit more about her. Hello, Anna. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. So this is earlier than we normally meet, so thank you for coming here earlier. So let's start just by having you tell us, everybody, a little bit about yourself, your background, who you are.
All right, sounds good. So I am Anna. I am from Amherst County, born and raised. I went to school in I'm from Lynchburg, went to Longwood University, got my BFA in Bachelor of Fine Arts, specifically in painting and drawing, but I love to do all kinds of work. I like doing some papermaking, stained glass, primarily in abstract. And I've been doing a lot of instructing. That's kind of my background, doing kind of teaching, also programs for kids and also adults. And I'm just really excited to get that started here in Bedford at the Bower Center.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So one of the things I love to talk about on these podcasts are people's artistic journeys, how they got to where they are. So tell us a little bit about how your journey as an artist first.
Okay. So my family, actually, I like to say that we're full of artists. I don't know if they would say that, but so my two aunts on my dad's side, they were artists, still are, and they kind of showed me the ropes from a little kid, and I've always kind of been tinkering around, whether that be with collage or painting, but yeah, I've kind of been doing it as a kid. And then in like high school, I was a teacher assistant for my second grade teacher, Miss Schemmel.
Hi, Miss Schemmel.
Yeah. And she really inspired me to want to be a teacher. But she always incorporated art into every lesson. And that was very inspiring to me. And going into Longwood, I wanted to be a teacher, and then I changed my mind and changed my major to art. And that was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So.
Yeah. Arts are risky, one of those risky majors. What made you decide, let's just go for it?
I had an art minor, and I kind of just wanted to explore that side more. I liked the classes better as well. The professors were very interesting and very just wanted me to get going in that direction, and it just kind of fell into place.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then you said you eventually fell into education.
Yeah.
So how did you land there, even just temporarily? What drew you to education?
So it was kind of a risky kind of decision, honestly, because I was already working with Lynchburg Parks and Rec, and I just kind of needed some extra income, but also I've worked with kids forever. So I was in summer camps for a while as well. And like I said, I've been working with kids for a while, and going into a school system was a little bit different for me. But it was also very cool to be on the other side of the desk kind of thing.
Sure.
And yeah, just kind of making curriculums was very cool, but also very hard for me. But I'm excited to kind of bring that knowledge in at the Bower Center as well. So.
When you have an artsy brain, sometimes the structure of what education wants it to look like can be a little challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
So clearly you've been drawn into this world of the nonprofits and the service world. So what keeps you there as opposed to heading down a more traditional corporate path like a lot of people do?
I would say just having focusing more on community is something I like to focus on, if you will. But because like getting to know the people better instead of it all being number based. Making sure our classes are full though too.
Yeah,
of course. But yeah, I want to get to know people like one-on-one. And I don't think you can really do that as well in a corporate setting.
That's true. I mean, I think it's part of what draws both of us here is there is a value to community. Right. There is a value to seeing a person as a person who has thoughts and feelings and emotions. And we both have probably used art in our lives as that avenue. So to be able to give people that same opportunity is kind of what draws us there. So I know a little bit of this answer to the question, but what drew you to the Bauer Center specifically, not being specifically from Bedford? What drew you to this job? What drew you to this area? What made you apply for this job?
Gotcha. So actually back in, I want to say like 2020, I did apply for one of the shows. And that was kind of my first little knowing about the Bedford area and the Bauer Center. But fast forward to 2026. So Matt Hovey, he actually messaged me on Facebook and was like, I think you'd be perfect for this role. So he kind of told me about it, said I'd be kind of perfect. And I read the job description and I was like, yeah, check mark. I've done that. And it was kind of a perfect fit. Again, doing the programming side of the arts is kind of my wheelhouse. So
yeah. I do feel like, in full disclosure, the arts world is small. Okay. And when you're looking at Virginia arts folks, Matt and I met through Beals, honestly, and a lot of the people who've listened to this know that I was at Beals for a long time. Sure. But he's also a technical director and lighting designer for Wolfbane, so he still lives in that arts world,
right? Just a different side of it.
And so it's nice that he knew that arts-minded people who would be a good fit for what this is. Like you said, your background is mostly in being an instructor. So specifically for you, what kind of programs or classes or workshops did you most enjoy teaching and why?
Okay. So I've kind of already hinted at this, but like paper making is one of my big ones. It's super fun and like hands-on, a little bit messy. And that's what I kind of love about art is that you don't have to be so neat every time. It's more process based and like getting your hands wet and dirty. I also like working with stained glass, different type of getting messy. Yeah, it's a little bit more strategic, having to do the different steps with it. So like picking out your design and then also cutting the glass, grinding it and everything, soldering it together. I'm definitely wanting to bring those two types of art to the Bauer Center. I'm also a painter and doing kind of landscapes as well. So.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up paper making and stained glass in the same phrase because to me they seem very opposite. Like paper making is very organic and you kind of get what you get as you're making it and as it happens, whereas stained glass, at least to me, is very planned and very precision based. It might be messy when you're doing it,
right?
So it's interesting that you enjoy arts on both sides of those scales,
right? Exactly. I think it would be said to like. My best friend, Red, they really kind of pushed me to be more messy when it comes to that. But yeah, I love getting my hands dirty.
Yeah. So, would you say there's anything about your artistic practice or your artistic background that has informed the way you approach teaching a class?
I would say like making sure that there is kind of a reference sheet for like the students so they have something to be like, okay, what step are we on if it is more step-by-step process-based like stained glass. I think it's important for the students to be able to see what they're going to be making, but they don't need to know that it will be exactly at the end. Getting to the final product isn't always
Right.
the main thing.
Two schools of thought in here. Do you like to give people an example of a finished product, or do you like to never give an example of a finished product?
Oh, I give them an example.
Okay. There's two different schools of thought there about what it should be. So as our programming manager,
yes,
all right, you're going to oversee all kinds of programming. So clearly, educational programming is your wheelhouse. That's what you know. That's what you have the most experience in. But we have all kinds of educational programs at the Bauer Center. So we do have a concert and performance season. We have educational programs that include classes and workshops and summer camps. And we have outreach initiatives like Cab Kids and Heartworks. So I'd love to dig in philosophically to each of those a little bit. Okay. So, when we talked earlier, you said concerts and performances were the one part that you feel like you don't know very much about. Right. So what I'd ask you is, what do you feel like is, as somebody who now gets to be at the table to make some of these decisions, what do you feel like the purpose for offering concerts and performances at an arts center should be or could be that is maybe different from the concerts or performances you see at a restaurant or a coffee shop or a brewery or even like big commercial arenas where they have thousands of seats?
I gotcha. I think it's important to have it at the art center just because it's more accessible to a lot of people, whether they don't want to go out to a bar because maybe they're
not drinking center.
Yeah, not drinking right now. Or if it's also like when it comes to them being at a bar or restaurant, I feel like that's more like background noise. And like when you go to a restaurant, it's more for like social outings. But when you're at like the art center, I think it's more of like you're focused primarily on the artist. I got to see that this Saturday with Noah Spencer.
And the Bauer Center is, I think, specifically different because we're very, very intimate. We've got, a house that seats maybe 100 people.
Right.
It is an old chapel, so it is very acoustically resonant. It doesn't really need lots of amplification if you're standing on the stage facing everybody else. So, you mentioned getting to see Noah. And one of the things I said when he came in this weekend is like, it's just you and a guitar up there and you don't need a whole lot else.
Right.
And I think that's part of its uniqueness as a performance center.
Yeah, the sound was beautiful.
Yeah, the sound is gorgeous. I would love to work on the lighting at some point, but we'll get there. Small projects. So the Bauer Center also has offered classes and camps for a long time, and as we all know, like classes, camps, and workshops are like the staples of Art Center and have been as long as art centers have been around. So this is going to sound like an obvious question, why do we offer classes and workshop and camps? And everybody says, well, because you're an art center. I would like you to think or dig into more deeply. Why do you think what is the bigger purpose behind offering art classes and camps in a small town art center?
It's bringing like people together, creating that art community. I've always had that kind of like as a kid, and sometimes other families, they don't have the space for it, and bringing those other families together, making friends and all that is really important, and I feel like art can definitely do that. Instead of maybe joining a sports team, maybe you're more artistic, and having a space for those kids is, like I said, very important.
Yeah, it's fun as a director to dip into classes, which I try to do pretty frequently, where I just kind of stop in, see what's going on, take in what's happening. Right. And of course, they're making art, and of course, they're having a good time. But I feel like what I notice most is the immediate community they're having. Yes. They're talking the whole time. They're joking around. They're strategizing. They're talking about what's working and what's not. But it is definitely that sense of community that happens. And I've told people this before, like that's how I found the Bauer Center myself. I moved here about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was kind of looking for my people. Right. As an artistic person, I was like, where are the other artistic people? And I took a pottery class. Nice. And that's really was my first introduction to the family that is the Bauer Center. and I have definitely veered outside of the pottery world. Turns out I'm still not very good at throwing anything on a wheel, even though it's fun.
It's okay. It takes practice.
It takes practice, and I did not practice enough. But I think you highlighted the community aspect is really kind of an important part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we also do lots of outreach. So it can look different in lots of different ways. So sometimes we're going to have community engagement booths where we go to local festivals or activities like the D-Day Family Day that's coming up in a couple weeks, or Clater Nature Center Children's Festival that was a couple weeks ago. We also have Cab Kids programming. So that's Creative at the Bauer Kids, which is built for families and children as its primary focus. And then we've also started the Heartworks program, which is geared towards bringing healthy and healing properties of arts to targeted groups specifically in need. I've told you from the very beginning, like, this gets to be your baby.
Yes.
The outreach is the part that's probably the most in its infancy. We're trying to figure out how to build it, how to grow it. So stepping back and knowing that that's part of that responsibility, why do you think outreach in general is important to an art center?
Well, you need to know the people that you're serving. You have to get out into the community, meet people, do the face-to-face things. And in the digital age that we are in, I feel like it is even more important to get out there, shake people's hands, kind of meet everybody. And I just really am excited to know this community better, since I'm not from Bedford, but I'm kind of just hitting all the Central Virginia spots at this point.
Yeah. And you'll find that I have found that Bedford's a very welcoming area. It's, they respect and invest heavily in the people who invest in them.
That's awesome.
And so I think that, at least for myself, I feel like I've seen that reward a lot. They know that I care. They know that I love the arts. They know that I want to bring it in every way that I can.
Right.
And I know that was obvious to me from you, even from the interview. This is something that you love and you want to bring it to people because you want to share what you love with the people who are around you. I'm not going to ask what you have planned coming up. I don't know if you feel like you've been here long enough to have any of those decisions or have any of those thoughts yet. What I will say is, what are you most excited about in this job?
The fact that I do get to teach, and also just having my voice heard when it comes to programming is just so exciting.
Yeah. Maybe don't know what to do with it quite yet.
Yeah.
But certainly, it's exciting to say, I have this opportunity to build something that can make a true difference or mark in a small town. And
absolutely.
And we've just handed to you, said, what do you want to make of it? Exactly. So, for those of you that don't know that are listening, we're and I'm dreaming here for a little bit. We're at our 20th anniversary this year. The Bauer Center's been around for 20 years. So in 5 years, on our 25th anniversary, what do you hope to see programming in general at the Bauer Center look like?
I think I want to have more art mediums being explored, for sure. And then also just bringing in more variety when it comes to class, pricing and size, as well. And we're kind of working on that.
Yeah. So definitely increasing some of that, and I'll tag in here and say that I hope that it continues to grow as a community.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that I've seen start to happen, at least in my time there, that it keeps growing and growing and growing, and more people are finding it. And I love, just a few days ago, I had 2 different couples that came into the gallery because they were just walking around.
Nice.
One was in for the week because they were just there, and one had just recently moved here.
Okay.
And they were like, I just want to see what this place is. And one of the best parts that I saw is that both of those couples came to the Noah Spencer concert.
Nice. Okay.
And it's just because I had mentioned it in passing. I'm like, hey, if you want to see the other artsy people in town, here's where they're going to be. And both of them made a point to catch me after the concert and say, I'm so glad that you asked me to come back to this.
Awesome.
And so, even if we're growing the Bauer community one person or one couple at a time, it's great to continue to see it.
That's one
growing.
More couple. That's
exactly. Exactly. All right. So I love to ask this as my last final question.
Okay.
Because everybody has very strong feelings about it.
Okay.
Why is art important?
I think it's important because then we have an outlet to express ourselves, and also just kind of take a step back from all the hard things that are happening in the world and having a like space to just kind of relax and just get, maybe you aren't relaxed, maybe you need to get some aggression out. You can do that too. And having that place where you have your voice being heard, even if you don't even end up showing your work, it can be just for yourself. I think that's really important. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who process with their hands.
Oh yeah.
And for some people that is gardening, for some people that is cooking, and for a large network of people that is creating art that is either meant to be seen by anyone or no one.
Right.
Sometimes it's about the process itself that helps you just line up in your head what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and giving you a physical outlet to make it happen.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Anna, for joining us and taking time out of your second week
right.
to jump into this hot seat and let us get to know you. If you are around the Bauer Center, please stop by and introduce yourself to her. She's downstairs in the office. You know where it is if you've been there. And since this is a podcast about programming, let me remind you of some of the programming that we do have coming up in store for you for the next few months. On May 16th, locals Win Creasy and C.W. Markham III will return to the stage, this time with their spring cabaret, Lovers and Other Strangers. Get your tickets soon. They're going fast. On June 13th, we're bringing in, with the support of the Virginia Commission for the Arts, the Akela Simone Trio out of Hampton Roads. They're going to bring us an evening of R&B, soul, and jazz. It's going to be a great trio. And then in July, we welcome back to our stage the bluegrass trio, Virginia Hollow out of Floyd. All of those concerts are going to start at 6 o'clock p.m. Advanced tickets are only $20. You can get them online or you can call. Opening in just 1 week in our galleries is the annual Bedford County Public Schools middle school and high school art shows for the month of April. And we're pretty excited to get to announce this, from May 7th until August 7th, we're really excited to partner with the National D-Day Memorial to bring you the Life and Art of Charles Schulz exhibition. This is a traveling exhibition that we're bringing in town for the summer in our 20th birthday and their 25th birthday joint celebrations. For those of you that don't know, Charles Schulz, of his Peanuts fame, was the capital campaign manager for the National D-Day Memorial from 1998 until his death in 2000. That's his local connection. Our educational schedule is so full of art opportunities, I don't think I could highlight every single one of them. We've got classes, camps, alike for adults and kids, and you can see all kinds of classes in painting, mosaics, clay, whatever you can think of. And Anna's going to keep growing that pot to different things as well.
Absolutely.
For more details on all of our classes, events, programs, exhibitions, you can visit bowercenter.org, follow us on social media, or like I said earlier, just stop in and say hello. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you all soon.